into it. I'm Jason and this is Alex, and we're the co-founders of RevUp. The purpose of this video is to start the process of kind of creating content, and this is the first piece. So this one is going to be all about kind of the story of how RevUp was created, a bit of a backstory into us as marketers. We basically met back in 2011 at a company called UK Credit Limited, and I'd come fresh out of college to work alongside Alex, or potentially even under Alex.
Yeah, I don't remember. What was it? No, I think, you think I taught you everything you know?
Yeah, so that's what this is all about, is explaining how Alex taught me everything I know, and then and we created a business together. But yeah, so I came in as I guess it was like a kind of more of an intern role to learn the ropes. The idea was that if I liked it, there was a role for me. So I'm trying to remember so you'd been at UK Credit for like a few months or a little longer?
Yeah, I think I was there probably about a year before you, but in a digital marketing role. I was probably only 3 to 6 months into that, but they'd given me this opportunity basically because before that I was a massive geek when I was a kid, school, making websites and stuff like that, and then I had to go out and get a real job, and at the time literally had no idea how to, I didn't have a degree in digital marketing or anything like that, just I enjoyed it, but because that was a hobby of, I'm explaining this really badly, but because that was like a hobby of mine, I didn't see it as like a career.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't make sense to me when I was like 18, 19, trying to figure out what to do with my life. So obviously I ended up as a waiter. I ended up doing door-to-door sales. I ended up doing cold calling for insurance companies and all of that kind of stuff. And then ended up at UK Credit Central Trust, kind of doing customer service, helping people get their loans sorted, et cetera, that type of thing. And it was there when, I got to know people doing stuff. It's almost like I went back in time like 6 years and remembered all the stuff that I'd learned when I was a kid. And I was like, I could actually do this all the time. And I could help with websites, and I can learn SEO, and I can do something that I'm actually quite passionate about. And that was like an absolute game changer, like being in the right place at the right time. But yeah, I think it was about 6 months into that, my career, I guess you'd say, that you turned up with your long curly hair and fresh face straight out of college.
Straight out of college. Yeah, it's funny that you didn't think that there was kind of a career for you in websites or marketing when you came out of school, because now it's just such an obvious career choice. If you're good at websites, or you've got like a bit of a knack for that sort of stuff, it's just such an obvious role.
Yeah, it's a completely different world, because back then, in order to go on websites and stuff, you needed a computer, and computers were getting more popular, but they weren't. I wouldn't say they were in every home back in kind of 2010, 2011. And you started to have people with smartphones, but they were terrible. They were so slow. I mean, there's a lot of things that you do on your smartphone now that you definitely wouldn't have been doing 15 years ago. So, yeah.
I remember being on a night out when I was like 18, and I had a kind of quote unquote smartphone, and I made the decision to spend £1 on WAP so that I could post that I was going into Mercy.
Yeah, WAP's got a different meaning nowadays.
Yeah. I don't even know what that stands for, but it doesn't stand for what it stands for now. Some wireless, probably wireless something, by the way. But yeah, it's worth touching on that, I think, because at UK Credit, a lot of the kind of values that we carry into RevUp these days, we learnt back there. So talking about kind of culture and things like that, it was a very kind of hard working, kind of move fast culture, whereby as a marketing department, we were kind of spinning out websites all the time. It was it was a time where small factors like your domain name was a big deal for SEO, for example. So if you had an exact match domain, like in that space, it would be things like guarantorloans.co.uk or badcreditloans.co.uk. That's a big deal. So if you could secure a good domain and spin up a solid website on it, you stood a good chance of ranking if you had a half decent SEO strategy behind you. So that's something that we learned back then was.
I mean, the thing is with what we learned back then is none of us working in that company had any formal marketing training. And I think because of that, say you were traditionally educated in marketing, you create your brand and you do your brand guidelines and you use these colors here and these colors there. We didn't know about any of that type of stuff. We were just like, right, we need to get a website up that's going to generate us leads, and we need it to rank as highly in Google as possible for these keywords. So how can we do that? That's what we want to achieve. And then how can we work back? And then we get one website ranking and we're like, right, so why don't we just be second as well? So let's make another website with a different brand, a different look, and we'll rank that as well.
Yeah.
And there was one point where I think we had 3 websites in the top 5, I think, for our main terms. I think I even made it my own website in my personal time and got it ranking on page 1 for those terms as well. And that was before I was business minded. So I actually, as soon as it started ranking, I got quite scared. It was like, someone's going to find out that this is me. I better get rid of it pretty sharpish. Because again, this is when the internet was, people were only just starting to do things online. How can we maximize what we're doing online? Go. As opposed to, right, we need an SEO strategy and a PPC strategy and we need a website strategy and da-da-da-da-da. And because of that, I just feel like we learned so much trial by fire. We did so much and we learned so much in such a short period of time. And all of that stuff has literally stuck. It's definitely stuck with me. I assume it's stuck with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Literally, it was the search engine was kind of king. There really wasn't any social media, although it wouldn't have necessarily been relevant to the industry that we were working in. I think towards the end, we started to play with Facebook a little bit. But in terms of all the platforms that we see today, they just weren't around. So if you weren't on the search engine, you kind of weren't there. And especially in the industry that we were operating in. I think it's a good time to probably move into what happened from there. And I think we worked together at UK Credit for about 2.5 years, something like that. I think I was first to go, but you weren't kind of far behind me. My path from there, I went to a company called Evander, and it was a good role. I did enjoy it. I guess the main change was that I'd gone from kind of working as part of a marketing team to in some ways kind of leading the digital marketing strategy in that business. The business itself was big. They had maybe 250 people working for them, but they didn't have kind of a direct to consumer proposition. The business itself was loosely kind of home improvement, so kind of glazing, locks, doors and things like that. And they did a lot of insurance fulfillment work. Despite the size of them, they weren't massively data savvy. So I actually got to kind of sharpen, what's the saying? Sharpen your teeth?
Sharpen your...
Doesn't feel right, but...
sharpen your tools?
Yeah, something like that. But...
sharpen your teeth? Is it?
Something about teeth. Yeah, learn a bit about data.
Bite off more than you can chew.
I might have been. But yeah, it was a cool role. I did enjoy it. We were able to make some good progress with that and it felt like we were probably getting somewhere, but the business itself got kind of bought out, and the company that bought Evander had their own marketing department, their own ideas, and obviously everyone knows what happens then, and that's when I was kind of made redundant. So that's when I went freelance. So it was, looking back now, that was it was quite a bold decision, but at the same time I was in a good position to at least give it a go. I didn't have a ton of outgoings or responsibilities, and my decision was really, I wasn't kind of earning a ton of money at Evander, so I felt like if I could at least even get close to that as a freelancer, then I've got something. My line manager from Evander had moved on as well, and he was working at a company, and still is working at a company who we work with at RevUp. And he fortunately gave me a good chunk of work that kind of kickstarted the freelance business, if you like. And from that point, having that piece of work, I knew that I probably only needed to get 2 or 3 more clients to make it actually something that could work. And I was kind of fortunately able to do that with minimal kind of contacts and existing relationships.
How did you get your first lead? Other than,
yeah, I'm gonna have to. That's a good question. I know. So I got one from a friend, basically. Started doing a bit of work for his family business, but outside of that, I can't remember. There's like this 2 or 3 year period where I think I was working for the same set of clients, which, like I said, mainly come through referrals and friends and things like that. And it wasn't until COVID hit and basically all my clients turned off their marketing activity. My main client has a network of branches, and they obviously all got closed down. So driving traffic to those branches was no longer a priority for them, that I then had to kind of realize that maybe I didn't have a solid business in place. So that's when I worked on my website for the first time properly. I put together what was a much better website than I'd previously had, and started running some ads for myself, some Google ads. I started optimizing kind of the inner pages for SEO and things like that as well, and generated a good amount of leads then, and actually built a kind of viable business out of clients that weren't just friends and family and referrals, which was really valuable, and it gave us confidence that when we started RevUp, we could kind of follow that model, and hopefully we'd be able to generate leads, because I'd kind of done it before. During all this, you kind of left UK Credit a couple of, probably 6 months after me, something like that, maybe a little longer.
Yeah, there were some other businesses alongside. UK Credit was like a business within a group company, and there was a couple of people that worked in other businesses that came up with an idea basically and wanted to do it originally as part of the group, but they pitched it to the big boss man, the chairman, and he wasn't interested. So they decided they were going to do it themselves, basically. And they told me I was actually their second choice, because they interviewed someone else for they kind of needed a techie person. I'd spoken to these guys basically without even realizing what they were thinking. I'd just go up to them and have a chat about their business and, the business they were running, where, like, loan product it was, whatever it was, what they were up to. And I'd be like, oh, why don't you, have you thought about doing this or doing that? Because over the 5 years I was at UK Credit, that's kind of how I how I kind of developed, and I got really interested in the workings of businesses as well as just doing the digital side of things, and kind of understanding how it all kind of fits together. So I'd just have these kind of drunken conversations with people, which I just absolutely loved. I started to get really passionate about that type of thing. So they knew who I was. So they offered me a job basically to go with them and build a loan brokerage up, which we did. We did over the next kind of 7 years until COVID hit. And we built something that to be really proud of, to be fair. I mean, the first 6 months were a real struggle, and we get loads of leads in, and then we wouldn't be able to contact half of them, or that, you know, there was a number of issues throughout the entire journey from lead generation to getting someone a loan that just weren't working. And I'll always remember how we kind of solved that this is like, basically, this is the business, you know, this is the process, this is the journey a customer goes on through our business. Let's put it all down on a whiteboard and let's identify the issues at every stage from this person to getting them a loan. Why can't, you know, what's wrong with this journey, and why is that what is stopping us helping this person, basically. I hope I'm explaining this well enough. And just wrote down all of these issues with the business, with the different parts of the processes. And then it's like, right, how can we fix that? 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 And we came up with a brand new process that literally encompassed the entire business, and all of our processes, that removed like 80% of those issues. There's some issues you can never remove, but process-wise, everything that was in our control, like what can we improve and how can we make that better? We literally implemented it. A load of it was taking it all online. So let's not call people. Let's send them an email and a text message and get them to fill the rest of their details out on this journey. And then can we get some decisioning done online? So we don't have to, you know, can we hook into the lenders so we don't have to hotkey them through and they do a separate fact find? Can we get all of their data up front? And then literally it went from us losing a load of money to being profitable month on month within a 2-month period. And it was like such a big jump and we're going to have to shut down. Actually, no, we've got something. And then that was after the first 6 months, and then we went on for another 7 years until COVID hit, which caused us some issues.
I think what was interesting from because during this time we actually didn't stay in contact too much for whatever reason. We'd occasionally drop each other a message or an email. We did a little bit of work together whilst you were there, and I was freelancing. But because of that, kind of when I left UK Credit to then when we set up RevUp, there was like this huge, you were always like a techie guy, and you could build a website and spin it out in no time. But to where you are kind of now, or at least in 2022 when we set up RevUp, there was this definitely some upskilling. Which I think probably talks to the amount of stuff that you had to do from a technical perspective in the loan brokerage. You kind of came out the other side with skills in kind of system development of various coding languages that you potentially, I think, didn't have before. Data, MI, all that, which is,
there was no one else to do it.
Yeah.
So I had to do it. And it was similar at UK Credit as well. It's not like we were going to, if we needed someone to do something, we were going to hire someone to do it. It was like, who in the team can do it?
Yeah.
But it was just me. So yeah, I've got to learn what an API is, and I need to integrate our system with. I mean, I learned databases, like coding, all of that, literally within a month, because I had to, because I knew that was the only way the business was going to survive.
Yeah.
Like, and that mindset is like still with me today. Like, but it's really weird because you still learn stuff literally every single week.
You do.
But I now know so much and have done so much that it allows me to do things a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yes, it's no secret that even as kind of founders or as people with like a decent amount of experience in the industry, accounts throw us kind of curveballs all the time. So having that knowledge that we don't necessarily know what to do right now, but if we put our heads together, we should be able to. That definitely kind of helps us, and has been quite kind of formative with RevUp. Is in terms of what we'll do. It's always like that. We have a lot of conversations with people who are having individual issues, and that's kind of their first touch point with us. Is we've got this issue with like our merchant center feed, or we've got an issue with our Google Ads, our conversion tracking.
We've had an issue with an old agency.
Yeah.
The great thing is there's so many bad agencies out there that actually it makes our job a lot easier.
I think I guess it might be a good time to talk about the birth of RevUp and go a little bit into where we started versus where we are now. I wish there was some like inspirational story about it, but basically Alex invited me for a paella in about April of 2022, and by I think it was May the 4th,
Was it that quick?
I don't think it was long at all.
I was doing some kind of freelancing, kind of consultancy stuff alongside a part-time role, and I just handed my notice in because I hated it. I didn't actually know what I was going to do. I don't think I'd necessarily planned to ask you.
I was going to ask that, like, because I don't think I ever have before. Is like where I think we just organised to meet up for the first time in a while, and I was just wondering what it didn't feel like the purpose was to set up a marketing agency.
Yeah, because you'd been married. It was like just after COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was probably that Ellie fell pregnant, and then we thought now's a good time to set up a marketing agency.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, she was pregnant when you came round, because I remember wondering if she could eat. Well, it wasn't me, obviously. It was Ariel that was like, can she eat this?
Cheese
or chorizo or whatever.
Yeah, just don't give her a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Or a Jaeger bomb.
Yeah. And yeah, had I even asked you, had I messaged you and said, oh, how's it going?
I don't think so.
How's work going? Because I often talk about work with people because I'm sad like that, and it's a passion of mine. But I guess I just didn't with you at all. There was no opportunity that really, really excited me, because what really excites me is problems and solutions. Yeah. And obviously you can't just go into an interview, well, what can you bring? Well, I just love solving problems, so let's just, I actually find it really difficult to put into words like what I can do, what I can add, because I'm just like, well, I can do all of this stuff, but until you ask me if I know how to do it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me, you don't know, what is it they say? You don't know what you know until someone asks you about it, because it all becomes so natural to you. But I think I had a couple of clients, and then you had some clients, and I think my pitch was, if we combine our clients, do you remember we had a Teams meeting or whatever it was back then, a Zoom meeting, and I'd made a spreadsheet, and we put all of your clients on there and how much they paid per month.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I've got, this is my client, this is a potential client. If we add all of those up, this would be our starting point.
Yeah.
And then let's give it 3 months.
Yeah.
It was, let's give it 3 months and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, we'll split that back up and we'll just go our separate ways again. But yeah, it was a bit of a, should we just do it? I mean, that's the story. The fact you said yes quite quickly, to be fair. So why?
I think actually, I was probably just so ready for a bit of a change. I've been freelancing for a while. I'd considered going into an agency kind of, or
you had an interview, didn't you?
Yeah, I had interviews with agencies. Actually, just the one. But yeah, I was ready for a change. I was ready for like a new challenge. I was making like half decent progress as a freelancer, but man, I've been doing it for a while, and the things like working from home and being on your own was definitely kind of wearing thin at that point. So calling on that original kind of UK credit mentality of get stuff done, we obviously set up a business. We moved into an office, and I think I'll hopefully have like a picture of our first office that we can like flash up, because it was basically a box with a couple of computers in it.
Windows?
0 windows, and we had that from like I think May to September, so we kind of missed that summer because we were sat in an office with no windows. Which, looking back, like I wouldn't do it again now, but at the time it was sweet. Like I enjoyed those first couple of months where it's like we need to make this work, or we're going to go or that's it. Like we're going to go and end up probably working in-house or for an agency. And the fact that it actually did work was really fulfilling.
I feel like there was never really back then. I know Ellie was pregnant. Ariel probably wasn't pregnant, so I was quite free.
Yeah.
It just was quite enjoyable, but it never felt like there was really loads of pressure to make it work. I don't know. I feel like there was always confidence that it would work, because actually our proposition to the market makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we are able to execute and strategize more effectively than other agencies, because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Because there's no weak link. Like there's only 2 of us at the end of the day, and we'll keep each other honest, throughout all the work that we do. So, but I think we, just circling back to UK credit, I think we kind of learnt that all there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That if you work hard, you do well.
Yeah.
And I think that we still, with all the clients that we work with, as long as we're literally doing everything we can to make that client succeed, it will all come right in the end.